So I haven't been writing a whole lot over this whole lockdown experience, but I do have one new thing, and this was inspired by a podcast I was listening to. This is for Erica Moen. Art, you're no longer worth the trouble. The world is so ugly, I won't hold the mirror so you can parade your worst bits like a proud mugshot lineup. They're actual fucking Nazis. New ones. Not just in Argentina, and I can't laugh at anything. My father is a suburban bigot, and nothing I say will make him understand how dangerous he is. Nothing I say comes out in the right order. The people I miss the most are thousands of miles away, and I hate the internet for the shallow cesspool its promise has become. Allen Ginsberg is influencing this poem, and he was, at best, a creep who spent a lot of time using fame to fuck young men at conventions. He was other things too, I suppose. His former secretary seemed genuinely fond of her time with him. But I'm tired of seeing dead white men excused for their sex crimes, or how will the live ones ever learn? Lord knows we're all fallible. I've spent this year mostly alone to avoid catching everything going around, and honestly, it's not the worst year I've had. There was, for once, lots of reading time once the Puritan work ethic gave way to the great sweatpantsening. I'm talking to my plants. Sometimes they die, but I have yet to feel betrayed by a Haworthia succumbing to root rot. I have strung a loom with yarn haphazardly and woven badly. If there have been no parties, there have also been no solicitations for free work, no gaslighting, no secondhand drama. If there is loneliness, there is also a great deal of relief and gratitude for the thousand small advantages that keep me fed and cozy. I built a swing chair and an altar for birds on my back porch. I installed shelf liner in my favorite color. I named the apartment Biosphere Fred. I bought a FlexNib fountain pen I only doodle with. I swear to you, I looked at an Assembles baker rack with a hex wrench in my hand, and it felt better than any poem I'd written in years. The world has never listened well, but nevertheless, every so often, we look up from our gardening and make noise anyway. Wow, I can definitely tell I haven't read for a while. This is an older poem. Thanksgiving 2017 for Joan Vollmer, wishing she was still alive. Thanks for escaping a country club childhood with benzodrine and alcohol. Thanks for becoming a precautionary tale. Thanks for escaping a bad, boring marriage for a bad, exciting one. Thanks for giving a famous guy something to write about. Thanks for a living room crash pad and mothering children. Thanks for Proust in a bathtub while sizing up Coxman. Thanks for the need to look up your name because who remembers? Thanks for external references that are mostly about the men you knew. Thanks for giving Jack's disowned daughter a good look at what was coming. Thanks for showing what talented penises can get away with. Thanks for being treated like an echo, a sad ghost, a plot point. Thanks for taking abuse as disguised as free spirit. Thanks for being so sharp they cut you for it. Thanks for probably believing deep down that it was all your fault. Thanks for trying to be one of the boys and acquiring all their bad habits. Thanks for trying. Thanks for playing. Thanks for dying with a good story. Thanks for your tribute that even now can't escape the man who shot you dead. hoping Victor is less bleak than me today. We'll find out. How to cross an American road. This is actually based on a set of instructions for French travelers about crossing the road. Push the large button on the corner post, although it is not connected to anything. The button is there to give you something to do while you wait. Look for the white man. If there is no white man, no one should move. You will see a great bloody palm pushing you back to the corner. Wait for the white man to appear. The white man means it is okay for you to cross the road because he is already on the other side. There will be a helpful countdown telling you how long you have to run. And this is based on a Grimm's fairy tale. It's called The Girl Without Hands. I was the ripest apple in my father's tree. My father ran the mill. His hands turned like grindstones. He beat grain to dust. He sold dust for coin. When flour prices fell, he sold apples. When the devil came to collect, he wanted bruised fruit. The devil had a receipt. My father offered to throw me through the mill. I reached towards heaven, so they cut off my hands. Then I wept until the stumps were crusted with salt. 3 years of this, and still the devil couldn't bear to touch me. I went out into the world, a beggar Venus. I ate only low-hanging fruit, shriveled plums, blighted pears. I was still an apple grafted to the prince's orchard. He came for his harvest. He sculpted gripless silver limbs, pretended the dead weight was my consolation. He sent me love letters, and the devil returned to scribble my hanging orders in the margin. I wish I had hands large enough to cradle all of you at once. I grind my palms together like millstones. I chop wood. I bake pies filled with meat. People who know me know I do a lot of work with fairy tales and myths. So this one is about Eurydice. It's called Revisionist. No one mentions Eurydice after Orpheus. She's presumed lost forever when he can't see her face. Shuffled off with Hades' mass of selfless dead, she provides a hero conflict and is gone. No one speaks of her driving the chariot that drags the sun, or mentions that her name means justice that spreads like a flood. Some say she died dancing with naiads. Others posit fawn rape. Some say Inanna dressed up in Greek clothes and dumbed down. Maybe light tired her. Maybe her eyes needed rest. I'm saying maybe the snake she ran into wasn't a viper. Maybe he whispered of knowledge hid underground and offered her fruit she declined to share. Maybe she said goodbye and walked off on her own for a reason she never divulged to the man with the lyre. Love's a wonderful thing, but it's not the only. It comes around in time like an orbiting sun. It's just a long walk through cold dark. She could go it alone. One more angry feminist mom and then less sad. Commandments for the anxious suburban housewife. 1. Your God is the God of scrubbed baseboards and dead-headed lilies. Your God sees through the neighbor's eyes. Your God demands his clockwork church, his bake sale cookies, his hairdresser appointments, and ritual chants. Your God does not demand belief. No sense in going overboard. Polish the clockwork until the cogs gleam like a mouthful of teeth. 2. You cannot cook too much food for the party. Everything must be perfect. Never sit. Do not let anyone help. It sullies the prayer of it. Send them home with platefuls. Send them home and do the dishes. Plunge your hands into the scalding hot water and feel your face go red with blood. Wipe the steam from your eyes with the crook of your elbow. Freeze the leftovers. Polish the silverware. Plan the next family party. Everything must be perfect or your family will leave you forever. 3. Thou shalt not want. You do not have clearance for anything so lofty. Take up a hobby, the pale shadow of desire. Paint large-eyed cartoon mice on memorial plates. Paint large-eyed statues of small children hiking through the wilderness until they march brigades around the mantelpiece. Paint large-eyed smiling children over your own face and the faces of your children. Feel watched wherever you go. 4. Don't cry where people will see it. Keep smiling. No swearing. It doesn't matter if you've lost control of your own hands. God has taken them for his own purposes. Laundry, mostly, and flower arrangements on the table and folding napkins into swans. Keep cooking. Make sure the chairs are polished. Make sure your family is color coordinated to match the drapes. Everything must be perfect, even if it isn't. 5. Turn your daughter into the girl she ought to be. Buy her pretty flowered dresses. Buy her blouses with ruffles and lace. Frown when she favors black. Tell her she looks like she's going to a funeral. Frown when she expresses opinions in public. Tell her it's disruptive. Frown when her cooking is full of strange ingredients that scare the neighbors. Frown when she moves to the city where they never wear skirts. Frown when she doesn't go to church. Frown when she starts avoiding family parties. 6. Feel betrayed that the pile of laundry never grows any smaller. Feel betrayed that there are no grandchildren. Feel betrayed when your daughter slips her sentence on the strength of bad behavior and leaves you with only boys to mother. Feel betrayed that God's clockwork crushed your hands and now you can't hold a paintbrush. Feel betrayed by the dust coating every large-eyed knick-knack in your house. Feel betrayed that you never gave in to bad behavior, not even once. 7. On the first day the house is empty of everyone but you, sit down, curse God, weep until snot runs down your beacon red face, buy jeans and order takeout, drink wine, let your husband return to the hardware store to find you smashing plates and statues in the backyard among the lilies. When he asks, "What are you doing?" laugh like it's the funniest goddamn thing you've ever heard. 2-poem warning. One short, one longer. Benediction for ordinary lives. Let us say a prayer for small things almost forgotten. The way her hand lit upon the wineglass stem like an orchid, tapered fingers slender on the stem. His wire-frame glasses skewed to the right. He never found the time to get them fixed. The way they curled around the paper every morning over steaming mugs of coffee, arguing the answer to 26 down. Their mutual fascination with all varieties of birdsong. His love of sugared dates and sculpting. Her glorious amateur watercolors hidden from critical view. Let their names remain a mystery, absence dignified by silence. Let these details outline silhouettes against an empty chair. Let their loss be remembered by the way their substance filled the world. Let them symbolize nothing but themselves. And I'll close out with this one. This is the opening title is from a salon quote. It's called All Poetry is Addressed to an Eternal Vow. 1. When you beckoned, I stretched out like a trampoline, a tympanic membrane parsing the wind, a curtain that lets light permeate the room all through its length. I became an extension, a reach, a ring of open palms, a prayer, an arc, jump spanning poles. I became so much of a yellow screen door with the afternoon scent of cooling pie. I forgot the words burgle and vandal and sever. I lost all my textbooks on Zeno and the Stoics and found the fines strictly enforced. All my apples for teacher thrown back at my head. 2. How does one counter indifference? I once carried knives for this purpose, or I counted on friends, or I set myself on fire and narrated the patterns of the smoke. When I tried to be whole, when I dressed my burns, when I stopped believing pain was a constant and omnipresent God, I became the crab at the lip of the bucket. 3. I have been gone all this time searching for a way back to you. A path to kite a view of sky over low-hung squalls, to find an ear carved from cloud, but still, I don't want a God, and I flinch at eye contact. My body enforces dumb lessons, so accustomed to injury it beats itself. The scar under my tongue pulls every word I speak back into my mouth before it sounded. 4. I was the Adam Frankenstein shunned, still attempting to appease its creator's arrogance. Love wants nothing more than to be useful. Herein lie all my omissions, quick segues, suburban mother faces claiming everything is fine, every sharp I've swallowed, lest my edges inconvenience. 5. Forgive my lack of expertise, my love's mouse startle and skitter, its tender multitude and propensity to survive in the walls no matter how many traps snap its neck. Allow that it must exist and breathe from root to crown and lean away from its bad side when it aches in the rain. Allow it sunlight where it finds it. Allow it food and air and idiosyncratic sense of style. Allow it raucous hubbub, intimate whimper, and all varieties of audible in between, with no need for anyone's permission. 6. Forgive me, but I have started speaking again, and despite it all, you are still beautiful. I still want to tell you how soon anticipation and will thaw and forsythia burst into strengthening sun, how the mute swans do nothing but bully and hiss. I still want to tell you that even the feckless mourning doves deserve pity for their crow-eaten eggs. Some notes do not call for the sword. This heart is one. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen Men. Thank you, everybody, for coming out.